I wanted to sit my PC case on my desk, and the computer stands that I found were either too expensive, not practical, or just really ugly. I thought, why not just make my own ones? And this is what I did. First off, I measured the absolute minimum width that it should be. I wanted them to be slightly bigger because I have another case which is a bit bigger, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. Next, in Illustrator, I made myself a template of what I wanted to cut out, and not for vanity's sake, just because it's a bit of a laugh and it was very little effort. I put on the logo from our social media, which I will engrave onto it. I wasn't sure at the moment here if I was going to CNC this or laser cut it. I did eventually go for laser cutting, and something that you want to make sure when you've got two different things in here, like a cutout and an engrave, is put your cutout all in one colour. I've used 100% red here on RGB, and then I've done my engrave in 000, so just completely black. What I'm showing here is something that didn't actually need to be used. I was going to CNC these out, and I was going to use an X-carve machine. It's a fantastic bit of kit for the money, but what it isn't is fast. This was just a lunchtime project. One of the most important things in this project to me was not spending any money. So I went through my spare sheets and offcuts that I had, and I decided to make a sandwich of plywood, MDF, and I had a nice little bit of bamboo. However, I find this is very brittle and I didn't probably have another use for it. Had a bit of balsa in here, but that's not going to take the weight of an editing computer. Also, because I'm only on a motorbike these days, whatever I've got has to fit on my back, so I've got the saw out here. I've put the template onto the machine connected to this laser cutter. You might not think it's economical to do stuff like this, but I use the laser cutter and the other machines at my local makerspace. So for an hour on this machine, it cost me less than £5. The materials, even though they're laser grade, the sheet can be less than £2. So this is something you very much can do. I definitely made the right choice going with laser cutting over CNCing, because that took me 1 minute 30 to do a quarter of what I needed to do. I started out cutting the ply, good old faithful plywood. When moving on to MDF, this makes a hell of a lot of smoke and it's got a bit of a stink to it, so you want to make sure that there is ventilation, and you've probably let other people who are working around you know that you're doing this. Moving on to the bamboo, what I would have normally done is a test run or a test pass. Firstly, I went far too powerful with the engrave, it went quite deep. Sometimes this actually looks pretty good, but I wasn't too happy with it. So I reset the machine, I reduced the power and I raised the speed up, and I got a much shallower engrave on it. You can see here the different finishes that you get from cutting out the wood. There were different settings done across them, but just sometimes it happens things look a bit shitty. However, I put them all together in the sandwich, put the bamboo on the front because that's the nicest bit, it looks good. Get out the old trusty Gorilla Glue, wedge them together, and I left them for a couple of hours to set. Then I got myself some Danish oil, which I had anyway. I wouldn't suggest just buying it for this because it can be quite expensive, and I gave it a bit of a coat. I had a last minute idea that to maybe stop scratches or even vibrations, I used some draft seal that I think you use for windows and doors that I had in a drawer. I put it down and I think it ended up looking pretty good. It definitely looked better than I expected it to. So here's the finished product. To hold a computer off the floor, I think this is perfectly passable. All in all, it probably took about 10 minutes for the design and about 20 minutes for the cutting out and putting together. I did have to wait overnight for the glue and the varnish, but overall this was a nice, quick and cheap solution to a problem that wasn't really there. Anyway, there's a couple of other maker things on the site. Mostly it's reviews of things that you don't want to see. But if you want to check it out, that would be brilliant, and we will catch you later on. Bye bye.